first session prompt, and this is what he came up with. I didn't write out. This is straight cut and paste. Okay, so he's got the idea of intents there. Good. Revision management, yeah, that's good. And we've got an idea of what the session should be. Okay, so this is the creator bot using that cut and paste. I say I want to write a bot that creates recipes. Fine. And then we go backwards and forwards. What do you mean by a recipe? What you're interested in? Gluten-free, nut-free? Are you looking for how long it takes? Ingredients? Blah, blah, blah. All pertinent questions based on that prompt, which was generated entirely by Hal. And it stayed on point. I tried to... sorry, I've gone too far. Dave uses recipe bot with ChatGPT4. Sorry, yes. So that's the prompt that was generated. So first run through. This is just again cut and paste. So session scripts, backwards and forwards. Do you have any dietary preferences? Blah blah. I said anything that you could, make with stuff you can buy in Scotland with vegetables. I came up with stuff. Okay. It asked interesting and on point questions. It allowed me to throw a googly. I've got some meat in the freezer. I think I said I was making a dinner for a Muslim friend. I picked that up and didn't go down the whole pork thing, which is good. And the original prompt was, yeah, okay, so you can do that, but if you were to buy additional ingredients, one or two, what else could you do? And that's the alternative recipe suggestion. So the single shot how creator bot system prompt gave a fairly reasonable, as far as I can see, output of asking, creating a prompt for a recipe bot. Okay. So, right, then just like find its intent on talking to creator bot about generating judge bot. Okay, so now I'll go back to Hal and saying, right, we've just created a bot, and now I want another bot to see whether one output is better than the other one. So this is like a new thread, as it were. Where's my thing gone? Okay. So that's just the same How session prompt. Haven't changed that at all. The script was okay. Right, let's create a judge bot that judges anything, and so you need to consider the qualities behind how to judge each bot, quantify them, weight them, and come up with a final figure. However, JudgeBot is a generalist, so JudgeBot is not specified for recipes or anything like that. It's like you're a generalist, you come up with it, but we're asking you to decide what's better or worse, and so long as you do it consistently, then it should be fair. It might be incorrect, but at least it's fair. So then we got that's the intent from Hal. So I was asking how to sharpen up my thinking about what I was going to ask the creator bot. So it's like, then I take that intent and I go straight into the creator bot and saying, here's what I intend to do. There you go. That's a straight cut and paste, including the I believe you, which is not really, grammatically correct, but still. And some toing and froing, nice prompts, feedback, and now I've got a prompt for a judge. Okay, so fine. Then I rerun, go back to recipe bot 1, and then all I do is change the model. This session script, I'm using exactly the same prompts that I did on the GPT-4 version, regardless of what it was saying to me. So I was saying exactly the same things. And they give me a whole bunch of stuff. Right, okay, now, judge bots. This is the session prompt that was done by the creator bot. And I've got two outputs. I've got GTP 4 and 3.5, which is better. And I give it user bot session prompt, tell it what I told the bot to do. Has no access to anything other than this cut and paste, and that's the response. So I told it what I asked it to do and what it did, and it sees what I interacted with. Right, I've gone all the way through. Oh yeah. And then it asks the judge which is better, and it comes up with
a set of adaptive preferences, a scorecard, basically.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. Now remember, this is single shot. Literally, there's nothing that other than getting HAL right. I've not added anything other than using the bot in the way that's intended. And
improvement suggestions. So that could feed back into the system prompt.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Now this is the next step I'm doing, which I've only just started. Which is the next tracer bullet. Where is it? Oh, I've not committed it yet. Tracer bullet 3, which is okay, taking those improvements. So given everything from narrative 2, how do you improve each of the session prompts, and importantly, in what order? Because now we've got HAL, we've got Creator Bot, we've got the Recipe Bot, and we've got the Judge Bot, so 4. So what I'm trying to figure out with HAL is what's the sensible order to improve those, so that you don't get stuck in some kind of weird, local minimum loop. And using the feedback from the judge, improve what I'm thinking of doing. Kind of started doing this, giving the output. Where's my thing? Right, I've not actually done it. Right, given the original intent and my feedback, and the just the cut and paste from the previous, can Creator Bot improve its own session prompt, or do we need a separate improver bot, which is
no, it's perfectly fine for a Creator Bot to improve its own session prompt.
Yeah.
The trick that we learned from like using Interbit to run Interbit was that it's all about versioning, and so long as you've got a good escape mechanism, like you can reset back to a previous version with the use of a hotkey or some other type of escape, then using version 1 to produce version 2, which is an updated version 1, is perfectly fine. And do that forever.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping. So that's
so that'll definitely work. But one of the ways to stabilize that process is that we'll not just consider the next iteration as being better or worse, but look at every iteration and be like, is every iteration together progressively better if you take this one as well, which allows you to avoid being steered wrong by just doing a little bit at a time.
You could do a pairwise. It's like, okay, so we know that this one has been judged better than the previous one. But given everything we've learned, is there another branch that ultimately?
Well, you can just take the latest iteration and compare it directly with every single iteration along the way, and just be like, is it better than all of them, or only some of them?
Oh yeah. So what you do, you take all iterations and then again compare them pairwise, with the outputs, and say, okay, let's stack rank those, and maybe there's a combination there.
Yeah.
That you can actually collapse the tree as well, saying, well, that was a bit of a rabbit hole. This is the tree that we're going down. Anyway, yeah. What do you think?
That's
any watches? I mean, it's
pretty good, but that's just a workflow for creating session bots. I don't see any issues implementing that.
Yeah, the interesting thing was the bootstrapping, in that all I need to do is to give that initial HAL a nudge.
Mm.
Now, what I'm trying to do is to wean this whole flow off Dave having to give any kind of feedback unless there's a red flag, so an inconsistency or weirdness, or whether if the judge says, well, hold a second, there's a huge discrepancy between these two runs, what's going on. But
exception handling sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but
it sounds like if I gave you a few primitives, then you'd be able to run this in what we've got now on the platform. Yeah. I'm just still fuzzy as to how, using nothing but NL, you could set up those automatic testing suites. That's just a little bit, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, what I'm thinking about is there's some kind of Flowmeister bot, because okay, so what I need is a bot to stash something for the use of another bot, and then commission another bot to do something. Potentially in serial, potentially in parallel. For example, one of the ones would be Flow. It's like, okay, so now we want to create a new bot, and then there's a flow past there. How shouldn't be doing that, and I shouldn't be doing that as Dave. In NL, having a system call where you stack up bots with the previously stashed information to work on that, and then report back. That would be awesome. Actually, those two things actually. Be able to commission a bot to do something, as in kick off a run.
Kick off a brand new bot, right?
Yeah, and to stash the output from a previous one. I think we could probably do quite a lot with those two.
Yep. Okay, so that... Yep. Okay, that sounds like my first target then. Make it so you can turn up, make a new bot, run it, and then point data at it.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, the pointing data at it is you'd use that feature for the judge where you're like, hey judge, this file name, go.
Yes.
Yeah. And it reads those things, pulls them into its session, and then writes its output somewhere else.
Right. And then
you may choose to make some. You might choose to do some changes based on that. Yeah. Or propose some changes to Dave.
Right. And there's certainly going to be an orchestrator, because just with those two, you can like ping off and then get a result. But if you want to do a flow, do this, then that, and then report back. But I think you can do that in NL as well.
I don't think that's no different to if you had the basic system tool of take this file, use it as a sysprompt for a bot, run the bot.
Right.
Then that function's available to all bots. So commissioning a bot that acts as a workflow, an orchestrator, sounds like it just does that operation over and over, right?
Yeah, and maybe there's a bit of additional wiring to do when you reboot the, let's say the orchestrator, the Flowmaster. When something comes back asynchronously, they understand, they reload in the new session, the previous session, and go, all right, we've got this.
You mean they continue, so they can wait for an output and then they get it to happen? Yep. So that's okay. That sounds like a great version 1 set of features. The additional features to that I'm working on at the moment that are similar are glob matching. So glob matching is whenever you've done an operation on the file system and you use like star.star or star/star/star.md and all that, that's a glob. And so for the CRM system, globbing is how I use the feature I want to be able to say, hey, run this bot on every file that matches this glob, which can be
Good.
like, 10,000 customer records, and you're like, go. And then it's like,
Oh no, that's brilliant, because that's one thing I was gonna is coming through the pipeline is unless it's a dead simple, path,
yeah,
how it's going to be asked to get the intent, and it might be build a recipe or it might be book a holiday, and then he needs to choose the right bot that's been created,
right,
and if there isn't one, kick off the creator and say create a bot to do that.
right, right, right. Right,
So,
and
but
and
it sounds
under the hood,
sounds
under the
interesting.
hood, the money shot for us is at the point where he decided bot creation, he should have filed a stuck first and
Yes.
defined a high quality stuck, so that other people can come in and help him.
Well, here's the interesting thing with this is even in this simple flow, something that stuck out is if there is a bot, you can create stuck, which is an intent, search. There's nothing that matches that intent. Go to the creator. Uh, that stuck is almost immediately solved with a gash version that is just the creator.
Right, it's got like a version 0.0.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, right, and from that that's actually the process by which the stuck gets well defined, because the bot will always have a go, and it has a go at the help, and then it finds out why the help isn't good, which is an incredibly larger amount of information for anyone trying to fix the stuck.
Right. Right. And I think that's the way that data comes into this, because if you think about each of these things we're doing here, I've had to interact with each. I'm back. I've had to interact with each of the bots.
Right.
Now that's a bit like okay, so my intent is stuck. There's nothing else you know about, and so it is a stuck.
Mm.
We're going to try it and go back, and I'm going to give you feedback and refine that.
Yeah.
So there's a refinement thing where Dave needs to have Hal say, right, we tried that. Is this any good?
Yeah, and then Hal's just basically can be lazy as shit and just give thumb up, thumb down.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
even that's
yeah.
valuable.
Yeah, no. Hal is like, the commissioner. He just says, right,
Yeah.
okay, you boy, you do
Yeah.
that for me. Tell me when you're done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That sounds like a very doable first branch of features. I'm still a bit fuzzy on how the goalie works for us, where you go and select the helps. I have a strong instinct that the system you described should be able to build the goalie, and you should be able to sort of say how you want to upgrade your Hal. And so
Yeah,
Hal should be able to be built using this system, providing that Artifact has those very few core base features.
yeah, yeah. And that's something I was going to try. I've not got as far as writing that, but one of the things here is what I want to do is to use only the session prompts I've got in order to improve each of the session prompts I've used, including Hal.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, so
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see any barriers to it. I
No,
mean,
I think I can do this. This is a great little simple story, and I'm pretty sure I can implement that with maybe with no extra features. Like, I think I have those features now, and I can put that in there, and then you can start giving me feedback on it, so we can get it to the point where we're like, okay,
yeah,
now you
yeah,
don't need to use this repo. You have an actual running platform.
yeah. I think probably we're going to end up with only maybe half a dozen system features that the bots can call on.
The smaller, the better.
Yeah,
The smaller, the better. Um,
yeah. It's really really feels commissioning. So each bot knows who it can commission,
mm,
have some kind of orchestrator, and have some kind of store,
mm.
uh, and have. I think the judge is really important, actually.
Yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
uh, I think that's about it. But the judge itself only needs commissioning and a store,
Yeah.
and access
Okay.
to
Well,
self-creation.
let's do that because it's not like that's ever going to be wasted effort. Like those core features of the interaction or the system functions you can call an artifact will always be useful.
Yeah,
And yeah, we'll just see how this model goes. It's doable. It sounds like the right path. Let's build it and play.
yeah, cool. And yeah, as I said, after fucking around with that initial how prompt,
Yeah.
um, this was all zero shot,
Right, and
which
you
was
sound pretty
quite good.
happy with the results, even from zero
Um,
shot. So once we get,
yeah,
better, once we get better looping going and a bit more context.
yeah, and pulling in different models and allowing the judge to decide on that. Kind of let's start at the shitty model to make it fast and cheap,
Yeah.
and if that is not good enough,
Right.
go up a
Yeah.
step.
Like there's some predefined steps that you'd always want to do, right? Which is like highest intelligence, see if you can do it at all, and then let's get the let's get the speed up and the cost down. Now, there's also some additional platform features that we need to think about, which are we don't use vector databases at all, but
Mm.
and right now, for example, this narrative can fit within the 128K context window of GPT-4, but um, what we
Perhaps when it gets bigger. Yeah.
well, not just when it gets bigger, but when there gets to be more bots. And so being able to provide a system call where everything's also in a vector database that it can do.
Oh, there's my hard stop. Sorry, that's a 5 minute for my
Oh, yeah,
hard stop.
yeah.
That's not the actual one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's sort of the next major platform feature that we got to look at. I just want you to keep that in mind if you start hitting a type of problem that sounds like it might be fixable if you had a vector database. Um,
Yeah. Well, the selection um, by HAL of who to say, right, okay, I know the intent, go and do this. There's a selection of that first level, which is certainly a vector database.
mm,
So, if there's nothing around recipes for food,
yeah, and
maybe
then
the subject
other
goes,
sort of less glorious or less retrof less introspective purposes or uses of that are like uploading a PDF and having the PDF be digested by Artifact to be able to provide
right,
a
yeah,
RAG, but like a RAG that you can experiment with the configuration of using bots. So you'd be like writing bots that make these lookup calls, and then
yeah,
you're able to play with that because you're like, I know I need retrieval, but I don't know how the prompt should go, and blah 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 blah. And so you should be able to use this platform to craft those fairly effortlessly.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
No,
doke.
I
Well,
agree.
I've made some great discoveries with the performance of the cloud platform, but
Mm.
I'm eager to implement them. But I need to defer because I'm trying to get the features up that give you this type of thing first. So I am making good progress on that front too. I would
Nice one.
estimate maybe another, I don't know, 3 to 4 solid work days to be able to have this thing like you're talking about working.
Yeah, cool. Well,
Um,
at the moment, I'm just doing it after my mistake yesterday, where I lost a lot of work because I didn't have
yeah,
a single tab open. So now I'm just doing this with different tabs for
right,
different sessions and
right.
cut and pasting.
Okay.
So it's not a great noise. Obviously, it's not any kind of platform anyone else would use, but
No, I can
we can
see your
do
point. I can see what
we
you're
can
trying
improve.
to do. That's for sure. So yeah, it's really good that you commit it too, because it helps me see your progression of thought without you explicitly saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So anyway,
well,
right, I need to
I better
go,
let you
but
go.
tomorrow morning,
Yep.
we'll see what there is, and I think you probably got the gist of it, but it's there to read through if you got curiosity or whatever. But I don't think there's anything more than what we've just gone through in that
Okay.
brief. And I'll be working on just bullet 3, which is how do you wean the system off Dave giving feedback
Right.
by improving itself. So,
Okay.
uh,
Cool, man.
See how far we get. Yeah.
Sounds epic.
Nice one. All right.
All right, buddy. I'll speak soon.
See ya.
Bye.